Hello everyone, this is me and I would like to talk about a system known as Elo Hell. You see, Elo Hell is a system that is present in virtually any game with both multiplayer and matchmaking. Here's how it works. It balances teams like this. I say this is a good player, this is an average player, this is a bad player. So it balances things like this. It puts something like one good player and something like 4 bad players in your team, and then on the other team we have 5 average players. Maybe that's an exaggeration. Let's change it to 3 average players. You see, is so 3 average players will completely wreck this one good player, which is you, who are currently complaining about Elo Hell. Why does it do this? It wants to create a fair, balanced match by equating players of equal skill, by placing players of equal skill into a team. No. By making sure the average skill of both teams are equal. However, this player is going to feel bad for having to carry these 4 scrubs, and since he is too good for these 2 scrubs to be average players. Now, how do I fix it? No, before that. Why is this a bad thing? Firstly, a team game is a team game. It means you have to do stuff. You need to rely on one of these guys. You have to rely on one of these guys. This guy is an average guy, you can rely on him more, but that guy is a rubbish wooden plank bad player who cannot be relied on. So you have to tackle these 3 players by your own. While your team of feeders just feed these 3 players until these 3 players are fatter than you and completely wreck you. Or you only have 2 guys to feed on. Well, technically, if you are a skilled enough player, you can feed on these 2 guys right here. These 2 guys. So, how do we fix it? Firstly, it's not simply a team's total skill that matters. We need to make sure that every player has an equivalent on the other team. Like we need one, like it should be this, something like this. So we have 2 good players, 1 good player on each team who will end up carrying their shit teams, comparatively shit teams. 2 decent players to support this guy, and 2 feeders to feed everyone else on the other team. Now, why don't matchmaking just do this? Well, theoretically they can do this, but without feeders in both teams, theoretically a game without designated feeders, without feeders placed in both teams, can work. But then we run into a problem known as the snowball effect. The snowball effect, right here. This thing. It toss 1 snowball and it goes here, and if you toss enough snowballs, you'll get a lot of snowballs. The way the snowball effect works is this good player kills this good player, and then by killing this good player or just removing him from the game, you gain an advantage, which makes it easier for him to kill this good player, so he becomes even better. And sooner or later, this good player will gain enough of an advantage to become the god of players. And this this player become a complete shit who feeds. Now, on the other hand, if this good player has feeders to reliably feed on, he can catch up and potentially be as good as the player who feeds off him due to the small advantage that this player makes. So yes, feeders are essential in every single game involving snowballing in order to lessen the impact of snowballs. So one of the feeders in their own team, well, you can only kill so many players at once. And this player, if he feeds on those two guys, if he feeds on either of those two guys, he will not be able to feed on this guy, which, and since in some games it is simply not profitable enough to feed on shits, rather as it's not as profitable to feed on shits than to feed on a good player, this guy will feed on this guy more often than these two shits who probably have 0 gold in their bank, or feed 0 and 13 to the average players. So, in short, to prevent Elo Hell from happening, the best way to prevent Elo Hell from happening is to make sure that there are shits in both teams. There are bad players in both teams. Yes, those guys are comparable to feces because they are played as bad as feces. Yeah, so you need shits in both teams to make sure that the other team has a chance to come back by feeding off these shits. So yeah, that's all. Goodbye.